Hey everyone, let's kick off our journey into product design. Basically, it's all about creating things that make people's lives easier, products that solve real problems. We really put the user asterisk at the center of everything we do. Think about understanding what users want and need through research, then coming up with ideas, building early versions to test, and constantly improving based on feedback. It's a mix of creativity, problem solving, and always keeping the user in mind. Okay, let's talk about what a product designer actually does. Think of them as the champions for the user. They're constantly trying to figure out how people interact with your products and how we can make those interactions even better. It starts with really understanding who our users are through research like interviews and testing. Then, it's all about coming up with ideas, sketching out concepts, building prototypes so you can test them out, and making sure everything, the look and feel of things, is great for the user. Crucially, they work with a whole team, product managers, engineers, marketers. Everyone needs to be on board. Okay, let's talk about how product design and UI/UX design relate to each other. Think of product design as being like the architect of a building. They decide what needs to be built, based on what people need and what makes sense for the business. They're focused on the overall strategy and product roadmap. Now, UI/UX design is more like the interior designer or construction crew. They figure out how everything looks and feels, making sure it's easy and enjoyable to use. Essentially, product designers define what, while UI/UX designers make it happen in a way that's both beautiful and intuitive. Okay, let's talk about how product designers think. It's all about understanding the why behind every feature. We use something called the product thinking framework, empathy, to really get into our users' shoes, defining the problem we're tackling, brainstorming lots of ideas, quickly building prototypes to test them out, and then gathering feedback to make sure everything is working well. But it's not just about user needs. We also need to align those decisions with the overall business goals, things like growing revenue or improving brand awareness. It's a conversation between what users want and what the company wants to achieve. Okay, so let's talk about how products actually get from an idea to something people are using. It's not just sketching on a whiteboard, it's a whole process. We generally break down the product lifecycle into 6 key stages. First, you have ideation, where you brainstorm and come up with new ideas. Then comes research and validation, where you figure out if those ideas actually solve a real problem for people. Next is design and prototyping. This is when you start building rough versions of your concept to test. After that, development kicks in, getting the actual product built. Then it's launch time. And finally, we have iteration and maintenance, meaning constantly collecting feedback, fixing issues, adding new features, and making sure the product keeps improving over time. Each stage is important, and understanding how they connect together is what makes a good product designer. Okay, let's talk about the product discovery process. It's absolutely crucial for good design. Think of it like this. Before you start drawing your fancy designs, you need to really understand who you're designing for, and what they actually need. It starts with empathy, getting out there and talking to your potential users through interviews and surveys. Then, you translate that understanding into a clear problem statement. What exactly are you trying to solve? Next comes ideation, throwing out as many ideas as possible, even the wild ones. After that, you build some quick prototypes to test those ideas, and finally, you get feedback and keep refining until you've got something amazing. Okay, so let's talk about user-centered design. It's absolutely crucial for creating products people actually want to use. Basically, UCD is all about putting the users first. We start by really trying to understand them, what they do, why they do it, and what their pain points are. Then we use research methods like interviews and testing to check if our ideas align with those needs. It's not a one-and-done process. We build, test, and repeat until the product feels intuitive and effective. And importantly, we always consider accessibility, making sure everyone can benefit from the design. Okay, let's talk about the design thinking framework. It's a really powerful way to approach product design. Think of it as a roadmap for solving problems with users at the center. It breaks down into 5 key stages. First, you need to deeply understand your users. What are their needs and challenges? Then, you clearly define the problem you're trying to tackle based on that understanding. Next comes brainstorming, throwing out lots of ideas without judging them. Then, you build some quick prototypes to test those ideas. And finally, you gather feedback and use it to refine your solution. It's all about learning and improving along the way. Okay, so let's talk about how we really understand the people using our products. We start with empathy mapping. It's like stepping into your user's shoes. You create a visual tool that breaks down their thoughts, what they actually say, what actions they take when interacting with something, and most importantly, how they feel about it. This helps us identify the root causes of any frustrations or pain points. Once you've built this map, you can then clearly define the problem you're trying to solve, a concise statement that focuses on the core challenge your users are facing. Okay, let's talk about how product designers really understand their users. We use a bunch of different research methods to get into the heads and hearts of our target audience. First up are interviews, essentially one-on-one conversations where we ask open-ended questions to dig deep into what people think and do. Surveys are great for getting feedback from lots of people at once, using structured questions to find patterns. And finally, field studies involve going out into the real world, observing users in their natural environment like they are actually using a product or service, which can uncover some really surprising insights. Okay, so let's talk about competitive benchmarking. This is all about really understanding the landscape, what other products are out there that you're up against. It's not enough just to know who the asterisk are asterisk. We need to dig deeper and figure out what makes them good and bad. We start by identifying both direct competitors, those offering similar solutions, and indirect ones, which might solve a related problem. Then, we build a comparison matrix, really breaking down the features of each product and rating how important those features are to users. It's also super helpful to analyze user reviews and usability testing, basically how people actually feel when they use these other products. Finally, let's not forget about pricing and how the competitors are positioning themselves in the market. The goal isn't to copy, but to learn from their successes and mistakes so you can build something truly unique. Okay, let's talk about user personas. Think of them as detailed profiles of your ideal users, not just random people, but characters you build to really understand who you're designing for. Creating these helps us empathize with our audience and make sure we're focusing on the things that actually matter to them. Personas aren't meant to be perfect representations of every single user. They are a simplified way to capture key needs, goals, and frustrations so everyone on the team can stay aligned. We typically include details like their name, maybe even a picture, along with demographics like age and job title. But most importantly, we focus on what they're trying to achieve, their goals, and what's getting in their way, their pain points. Okay, let's talk about customer journey mapping. Think of it as stepping into your user's shoes and documenting every interaction they have with your product or service. It starts with building a clear picture of who you're designing for. Creating a persona like Sarah, the busy mom, helps. Then we break down the process into stages. First, awareness. How do they even find out about us? Next is consideration. What are they thinking? Purchase. How easy was it to buy? Use. How well do they actually use our product? Finally, retention and advocacy. Are they happy enough to keep coming back? And will they recommend us to others? Mapping involves identifying every touch point from the first ad they see to a support email. Critically, we also need to understand how the customer feels at each stage. Are they frustrated, delighted, confused? That's where adding emojis or descriptive words comes in handy, and it's really about spotting those pain points where things go wrong and finding opportunities to make the whole experience smoother and better. Let's talk about task flows and user flows. They are often confused, but really important for product design. A task flow is all about the steps a user takes to complete something specific, like resetting their password. It's very focused on how things get done. On the other hand, a user flow shows the whole journey, the bigger picture of how someone interacts with your product or service. It considers why they're doing things and what they're feeling along the way, from initially finding you to becoming a regular customer. Think of it this way: task flows are tactical, while user flows are strategic. Both are essential for creating a positive user experience. Okay, let's talk about information architecture. It's a really important concept for product designers. Basically, IA is all about organizing the information within your product so that users can easily find what they need and complete their tasks. It's like designing a super efficient library. Everything has its place. We want to make sure things are easy to find, intuitive to use, and clear, no confusing jargon or cluttered layouts. The core of IA involves how we set up navigation, our search functionality, and how we group related content together logically. But any questions so far? So, when we're starting out with product design, it's really important to nail down the basic structure of our product. That's where low-fidelity wireframing comes in. These aren't fancy designs, they're just quick sketches that help us figure out how things should be arranged and how users will move through the experience. We use these simple tools like paper or a really basic digital tool to explore ideas without getting distracted by colors, fonts, or other visual details. It's all about understanding the core flow and layout before we dive into making it look amazing. Okay, let's talk about bringing your designs to life, specifically through high-fidelity mockups and prototypes. These aren't just pretty pictures, they're essential for truly understanding how your product will work and feel. We're moving past simple sketches and creating detailed visuals that mimic the final experience. Think realistic graphics, polished typography, and interactive elements like simulated animations. Tools like Figma are fantastic for building these prototypes, allowing you to test user flows and get a sense of what it's really like to use your product. Having these high-fidelity designs ensures everyone is on the same page, helps catch issues early, and ultimately sets you up for a smoother development process. Let's talk about bringing your designs to life. When it comes to prototyping, there are a few tools that really stand out: Figma, Adobe XD, and Sketch. Figma is super popular because it's built for collaboration. Think of it as Google Docs but for design. Adobe XD is fantastic if you already use other Adobe products like Photoshop or Illustrator. And Sketch, while only available on Mac, remains a strong choice for many designers due to its robust vector graphics capabilities. Each one offers features like real-time collaboration, easy drag and drop interfaces, and component libraries which really help speed up your workflow and create consistent designs. Okay, let's dive into how we make websites look good on every screen. We'll start with responsive design. It's all about making a single layout adjust to fit whatever device someone is using. Think of it like a flexible grid that adapts as the window size changes. We use CSS media queries to check things like screen width and apply different styles. Then, we have adaptive design. This is where we actually create different versions of our website, serving up a specific layout based on the user's device or situation. It's like having multiple recipes for the same dish, tailored for different appetites. Responsive is often great for most sites, while adaptive can be really powerful when you have very distinct needs across different platforms. Okay, let's talk about how we approach design for different screen sizes. We've got two main strategies: mobile first and desktop first. With mobile first, we start by designing the experience specifically for a small phone screen. This really forces us to think critically about what's essential. It leads to simpler designs that are super focused on what matters most. On the other hand, desktop first means we begin with the bigger screens and build out all the features. It can be great if you're building something complex where a full desktop experience is really important. But honestly, for many modern apps, mobile first is often the way to go because so many people are using their phones. Okay, let's talk about typography and how it impacts your product design. It's not just about picking pretty fonts, it's about making sure your users can easily understand what they're looking at and where to go next. A solid typographic system, readability, good contrast, a clear visual hierarchy is fundamental for creating an intuitive user experience. Think about how you size your headings, use bolding to highlight important information, and even utilize whitespace to separate elements. Consistency across the entire product is key too. Basically, it's all about guiding the user's eye and ensuring they can quickly grasp what matters most. Okay, let's talk about color. It's way more than just picking shades you like. As a product designer, understanding how colors affect users is super important. First, your brand colors form the foundation of your visual identity. They should reflect your entire brand and what you stand for. Then there's color psychology. Different colors trigger different emotions, and people think about how you want your users to feel when using your product. And finally, always keep accessibility in mind. Make sure everything is readable with enough contrast. Consistency is also a huge deal. Sticking to the same color palette everywhere builds brand recognition and trust. Okay, let's talk about how we can build really strong user experiences as product designers. One important strategy is called component-based design. Instead of designing each screen from scratch, we start by creating reusable components, things like buttons, forms, or navigation menus. Think of them like Lego bricks. You can combine them to build different interfaces while keeping everything consistent and easy to maintain. This speeds up development, makes sure your brand looks the same everywhere, and allows for quicker iteration on new features. Okay, let's dive into iconography and micro-interactions, two things that are surprisingly impactful in product design. Icons act like quick visual shortcuts, helping users understand what something is without having to read a label. Think of them as instant recognition tools. Then we have micro-interactions, those little animations you see when you click a button or hover over an element. They're not about flash effects. They are about giving the user feedback and making the experience just a bit more delightful. The key is to be consistent with your icons. Think about accessibility for everyone, and make sure your animations are smooth and don't slow down your product. Okay, let's talk about design systems. They're essentially the blueprints for how we build our products, ensuring a consistent experience everywhere. It all starts with defining some core principles that will guide every decision you make. Then, you create a library of reusable components like buttons and forms, along with documented patterns for things like onboarding or search. Using tokens and styles helps maintain visual harmony across the entire product. And crucially, a design system needs governance, someone to keep it updated and ensure everyone's following the guidelines. Let's talk about atomic design. It's a fantastic approach to product design because it helps us build things in a really organized way. Think of it like Legos. You start with tiny, basic pieces called atoms. These are the smallest reusable elements, like buttons or input fields. Then you combine those atoms into molecules, groups of related components, such as a search bar. You keep building up, creating organisms like whole navigation menus and then putting them together in templates to define page layouts. Finally, you fill those templates with real content to create the actual product pages you see. Okay, so when you're designing for different platforms like the web, iOS, and Android, it's not just about making things look pretty, it's really about understanding how people use those platforms. The web is your starting point. Think big screens, mouse clicks, and responsive design to make sure everything looks good on any device. Then you move into iOS with its focus on touch and specific guidelines that Apple wants you to follow for a great user experience. And finally, Android, well, it's the Wild West. You've got tons of different devices, phones, tablets, even foldable, so you need to think carefully about how your design will work across this diverse landscape. Content strategy is super important here. What's the most crucial information and how do you present it in a way that makes sense for each platform? And don't forget interaction patterns. Those familiar gestures on your phone might not translate well onto a desktop. Okay, let's talk about how we actually get our designs into the hands of developers. It's not just enough to create something beautiful. You need a smooth workflow. That's where collaboration tools come in. We've got two really important ones, Zeppelin and Figma Inspect. Zeppelin is fantastic for managing all your design assets. Think fonts, colors, spacing, and creating detailed specs that developers can easily understand. It's like a super organized style guide. And then there's Figma Inspect. This browser extension lets designers instantly see the exact measurements and styling of elements on a live website or app, so you can really reference your designs in context during development. It helps catch those small but important discrepancies early. Essentially, these tools are all about keeping everyone aligned and preventing misunderstandings. Now, we'll move on to discussing how we gather feedback from users. Okay, so let's talk about how product designers can really thrive in today's world of software development, specifically when we combine Agile and Lean UX. Agile is all about working quickly, constantly adapting, and keeping the team collaborating closely. Think short sprints where you build something, test it, and then adjust based on what you learn. Now, Lean UX takes that a step further by putting huge emphasis on learning through experimentation and building MVP, basically getting a basic version of your product out there as fast as possible to see if people actually want it. The really powerful thing is when these two approaches work together: rapid prototyping to test assumptions in short sprints, constantly gathering user feedback, and always focusing on delivering that essential core value first. Okay, let's talk about how product designers really thrive: collaboration. It's absolutely essential to work well with both your product managers and developers. Think of the PM as the visionary; they're focused on what we're building and why. And the developers? They're the brilliant engineers who figure out how to actually make it happen. Clear communication is huge here. Regular check-ins, shared documents, and being proactive about asking questions are all key. You can also use tools like Slack or Jira to keep everyone on the same page. Participate in those sprint planning meetings. Getting involved early helps you understand priorities, and workshops brainstorming together are fantastic for aligning ideas. Finally, don't just deliver a finished design and move on. Get developer feedback early and often, so you can iterate quickly and build something truly great. Okay, let's talk about how to tackle a really full design backlog. It's super common for product designers to be presented with tons of ideas, new features, improvements, bug fixes. It can feel overwhelming. The key is prioritization. We need to focus our energy on the things that will truly move the needle for our users and align with our overall goals. There are a few popular methods we use. The impact/effort matrix helps us quickly visualize which features offer big impact for relatively little work. Those are your quick wins. RISE scoring is another great tool, taking into account reach, how many people will see it, impact, how much value it adds, confidence in our estimates, and the effort required to build it. And finally, MoSCoW helps us categorize features, things we absolutely must have, those that should be considered, some that would be nice to add if we have time, and things we can put off for later. Okay, let's talk about design sprint facilitation. It's a really powerful tool for product teams. Basically, you're the conductor of this intense 5-day process designed to get rapid prototyping and user feedback. You'll have a Scrum Master helping you with Agile principles and removing roadblocks, while your design team builds the prototype. Stakeholders weigh in too, especially during that crucial decide phase. Remember those 5 stages: map where you define the problem, sketch everyone brainstorms ideas, prototype building a realistic model, test getting real user feedback on it all. It's about speed, collaboration, and focused iteration. Okay, let's talk about how to really understand your users through their journey. We start with storyboarding. It's like creating a comic strip that shows the user's experience step by step. It helps you visualize how they interact with your product and quickly spot any confusing moments or friction points. Then we move on to scenario mapping. This isn't just about visuals, it's about defining specific situations, let's call them scenarios, that users might find themselves in while using your product. Think of things like a new user trying to sign up or an existing customer looking for a specific feature. Storyboards often illustrate the key moments within those scenarios, and scenario mapping provides all the details about why those moments matter. Okay, let's talk about planning and actually running usability tests. It's really important because it helps us understand how real people are using our products. First, we need to clearly define what we want to test. What specific tasks do we want users to complete? Then we need to find the right participants who represent our target audience. Next is building out realistic scenarios and clear instructions for those tasks. We create a detailed plan covering everything from the test environment to how we'll collect data. During the test itself, we observe the users carefully, noting what works well and where they struggle. Finally, it's all about analyzing the results, looking for patterns, and sharing our findings with actionable recommendations. Usability testing isn't a one-time thing, it should be part of your product development cycle. Okay, so let's talk about how we really know if a design change is actually good, and that's where /B testing comes in. Basically, as product designers, we want to make our products the best they can be, but best isn't always clear. A /B testing gives us a really solid way to figure it out. We start with a question like, does changing this button color increase clicks? Then we create two versions of that design and show them randomly to users. By tracking what happens, things like how many people click, or how long they spend on a page, we can see which version performed better. It's all about using data instead of just guessing. Okay, let's talk about how we find problems with our designs before they hit users. We do this through something called heuristic evaluation. Essentially, usability experts, people who know what good design looks like, will take a look at your product and assess it against established principles or heuristics. Nielsen's 7 heuristics are a really popular framework. They cover things like making sure users understand what's going on, using familiar language, keeping things consistent with other apps, preventing errors before they happen, and designing in a way that feels intuitive. It's a super valuable way to spot usability issues early on. It's much cheaper than testing with real users. Let's talk about UX writing and content strategy. They're absolutely crucial for product designers. It's not just about making sure your text is grammatically correct, it's about actually guiding users through your product, making things easier, and creating a really positive experience. Think of clear button labels, helpful error messages, or even the way you explain features. All that counts. We want to make sure our words are simple, direct, and consistent across everything. And crucially, content strategy ensures we're talking about the right things in a way that supports our product goals. So, it's all about understanding your users first, setting clear goals for what you want your text to do, writing, testing, and then constantly improving based on how people actually use it. Okay, let's talk about onboarding. It's absolutely crucial for setting new users up for success with your product. Think of it as their very first impression. We need to really understand where they're coming from and what they're hoping to do when they land in your app or website. Then we can create a clear, achievable goal for the onboarding process itself, something simple like setting up their profile or completing one key action. It's also important to avoid information overload, start with the basics and reveal more complex features as users get comfortable. Interactive tutorials and little tooltips can be super helpful here, providing just-in-time guidance. And if you can personalize the experience a bit based on who they are or what they're trying to do, that's always a bonus. Okay, let's dive into error and empty states. These are super important parts of product design because they're all about how your users experience moments of uncertainty when something goes wrong or there isn't any content yet. Error states help build trust by letting people know immediately if a problem exists and offering ways to fix it. Empty states, on the other hand, are designed to prevent frustration when there's no information to display. Instead of just showing an empty space, you want to guide users toward what they should do next, whether that's trying again or contacting support. When designing these states, always keep it simple, and use humor carefully if it fits the brand, but the most important thing is to give clear instructions on how to proceed. Okay, let's talk about forms. Product designers know that well-designed forms are essential for any product. We want to make them as simple and intuitive as possible, asking only for the information we truly need. Think about how you naturally fill out forms yourself. It should feel similar on your website or app. We'll cover key considerations like clarity, minimizing fields, and a logical flow, guiding users through each step. Then we'll dive into different validation strategies: client-side validation for immediate feedback, server-side validation to protect our data, and even real-time validation as the user types. And of course, good error messages are super important. They need to be clear, specific, and tell the user exactly what they did wrong and how to fix it. Okay, let's talk about dashboards. They are a really important part of a product designer's toolkit. Think of them as your central command center for understanding how users are interacting with your product. A great dashboard isn't just a collection of numbers, it's actually turning those numbers into insights that help you make better design decisions. We'll want to think about who will be using the dashboard, what they need to see, and really focus on the most important metrics, the KPI that matter. And critically, we have to choose the right type of visualization. A bar chart might be perfect for comparing performance across different segments, while a line graph can help us spot trends over time. Ultimately, a good dashboard should be clear, simple, and above all, actionable, leading users towards improvements in better design choices. Okay, let's talk about making products feel alive. We're diving into interactive and motion design. It's more than just adding cool effects. These techniques actually shape how users experience a product. Think of micro-interactions, those little animations that tell you something has happened, like when you hover over a button or when a loading icon spins. Then there are motion transitions. These smooth movements help guide the user through different states, making things feel more intuitive and understandable. Gestures like swiping on a phone are another key element. They are all about mimicking real-world interactions to create a natural feeling. Tools like Figma and Principle are great for prototyping interactive experiences, while After Effects is fantastic for creating really polished animations. Hey everyone, let's talk about making our products accessible. Accessibility is all about designing things so that people with disabilities can use them effectively. Think visual impairments, hearing loss, mobility issues, cognitive differences, and more. We have a fantastic set of guidelines to follow called WCAG, which are basically international standards for web accessibility, and the ADA in the United States makes sure businesses and services are equally accessible too. We'll focus on 4 key principles: making information perceivable, like giving all text to images or captions to videos, ensuring components are operable through various methods like keyboards, keeping things understandable with clear language, and building robustness so it works well with assistive technologies. It's not just about ticking boxes for legal compliance, but truly creating a better experience for everyone. Hey everyone, let's talk about inclusive design, a really important concept for product designers. It's all about making sure our products are usable and enjoyable by everyone, not just the average user. We need to think about accessibility first, following guidelines like WCAG to aim for level A compliance. But it goes beyond that. Genuine inclusive design means deeply understanding our diverse users through thorough research, really talking to people with disabilities, folks from different cultural backgrounds, and those who aren't necessarily tech savvy. It's about stepping into their shoes and actively imagining how they might interact with your product. Finally, flexible design is key, offering multiple ways for people to engage, like keyboard navigation or voice commands. Okay, so let's talk about ethics in product design. It's a really crucial area now. We can't just focus on making something look good and work well. We need to think carefully about how it actually affects people. This slide covers some key areas: privacy, being open about what data you collect and how you use it; accessibility, ensuring your product is usable by everyone, including those with disabilities; bias mitigation, recognizing and actively working against biases in the design process; sustainability, considering the entire lifespan of a product; and finally, well-being, designing products that don't negatively impact mental health. It's about building a better future through thoughtful design. Okay, let's talk about how understanding the way our brains work, cognitive biases, can make us better product designers. Basically, we're not just building products, we're designing experiences that tap into how people naturally think and behave. There are a few key biases to keep in mind, like confirmation bias, where people tend to only look for information that confirms what they already believe. Anchoring bias is another one. If you present the first piece of information first, it really shapes how people perceive everything else. And finally, loss aversion shows us that people are more afraid of losing something than excited about gaining something equivalent. The good news is behavioral design uses these biases to gently guide users toward the choices we want them to make, not in a creepy or manipulative way, but through clear design and simple interactions. Okay, let's talk about how emotions play a huge role in good product design. Today we're diving into some common design patterns that tap directly into those feelings. First up is scarcity. Think only 3 left. It's based on the fear of missing out, and it's super effective. Then there's social proof, showing people what others are doing, like reviews or how many users have joined. We naturally want to follow the crowd. Authority builds trust, demonstrating expertise. Reciprocity is about giving something away first, a free sample or helpful content, which then makes people feel inclined to return the favor. Finally, commitment and consistency show that small initial steps can lead to larger ones. These patterns aren't magic, though. Ethical design uses them thoughtfully. Okay, let's talk about voice and conversational UI design. These interfaces are shifting the way we interact with products, moving away from just tapping screens. We're seeing more natural language, like speaking to a device instead of clicking buttons. The key is understanding what the user means, remembering past conversations, and often combining voice with visual cues. Think about how assistants like Siri or Alexa work. They are prime examples of this. And it's important that things don't go wrong. Good conversational UI have ways to handle misunderstandings and help you get back on track. Let's dive into designing experiences for augmented and virtual reality. It's not just about putting things in 3D, it's about making those interactions feel natural and intuitive, almost like you're actually there. We need to really understand how users perceive their surroundings. Spatial awareness is key. And because we can't use traditional touchscreens, we have to get creative with control. Think gestures and even voice commands. Creating a sense of presence or immersion is huge. That means great audio, realistic visuals, and a story that draws people in. Finally, let's not forget about user comfort. Motion sickness can be a big issue, so designing for different hardware levels and accessibility is essential. Okay, let's talk about designing for smart devices and the Internet of Things. This is a really exciting but also complex area for product designers. Basically, we're moving beyond just making things look good. It's all about how these connected gadgets fit into people's lives and work reliably. We need to think deeply about what context a device operates in, considering factors like location and user behavior. Connectivity is key. Designing for situations where the connection might be spotty or unreliable is super important. And of course, security and privacy are non-negotiable. Finally, interoperability. Getting different devices to talk to each other smoothly is something we need to prioritize through the use of open standards whenever possible. Let's focus on making interactions feel intuitive and helpful, creating a great experience within this always connected world. Okay, let's talk about how we make sure our designs are actually working for users. It's all about this cycle: gathering feedback, making sense of what it means, and then building changes based on that knowledge. We use different methods to collect feedback, like surveys or usability tests. Then, we need to figure out what's important, which parts of the product people are struggling with. We don't just collect data, we analyze it. After identifying the issues, we implement improvements and then test them again with real users to see if they actually helped. It's a continuous process, constantly learning and refining our designs based on what we hear from our audience. Okay, let's talk about getting your designs ready for development. This slide focuses on creating detailed documentation and specifications, basically turning your brilliant ideas into a roadmap that everyone can follow. It's all about ensuring everyone's aligned, designers, engineers, and stakeholders alike. You'll need things like low-fidelity wireframes to map out the user flow, style guides to keep the visual language consistent, and component libraries for reusable elements. The specifications themselves will cover everything from precise dimensions and typography to color palettes and even accessibility guidelines. Tools like Figma and Sketch are your friends here, and remember, clear communication and good version control are absolutely key. Okay, let's talk about design debt. Think of it as the hidden cost of making quick decisions during product development. It's not necessarily because someone made a bad design choice, but rather that compromises were made along the way. We can break down this debt into 3 categories: technical debt and UX, which could be things like broken interactions or inconsistent elements; strategic debt, like features that don't align with user needs or outdated assumptions; and then tactical debt, which are often smaller issues like typography problems or confusing labels. When it comes to tackling this debt, we want to prioritize based on impact versus effort, focusing on the areas that will have the biggest positive effect. It's also really important to refactor in small, manageable steps, documenting what you're doing so that everyone has context for future improvements. Design debt isn't a problem you solve once and then forget about. It's an ongoing part of maintaining and improving your product. Okay, let's talk about optimizing how your product performs. It's not just about adding shiny new things, it's really about making the most of what you already have. First and arguably most important step is to make sure you are basing your changes on actual data, looking at user behavior through analytics. Then, /B testing allows you to compare different versions of a feature, seeing which one performs better for your users. Don't forget that feedback from your users is invaluable. Actively solicit it through surveys and usability tests. And lastly, focus on the right metrics, the ones that truly show whether your product is succeeding. Finally, think about iterative development. Make small changes, measure them, learn, and repeat. Okay, let's talk about keeping users excited and coming back for more. This slide dives into the world of user engagement and retention design. It's all about getting people actively using your product, making sure they stick around. We explore some key strategies like personalizing experiences based on what each user is doing, adding a little bit of fun with gamification, think points and badges, and carefully considered push notifications. Building community through forums or allowing users to create content are also important. Finally, always be listening to your users. Easy access to feedback and support builds trust and keeps them happy. Okay, let's talk about conversion rate optimization or CRO. As product designers, we often think about making things look good and intuitive to use, but CRO is all about the business impact of those decisions. It's really about understanding why people are or aren't taking the actions you want them to take, whether it's signing up for a newsletter, buying a product, or scheduling a demo. We start by clearly defining what success looks like. What KPI are we trying to improve? Then we dive into data using tools like Google Analytics to pinpoint where users are getting stuck in the journey. Once we know where they're dropping off, we can form educated guesses about why . And finally, it's all about testing those ideas through /B tests and then continuously learning from the results. CRO is a constant cycle of analysis, hypothesis, test, and iterate. Okay, so as product designers, we need to go beyond just making things look good. We also want to know if our designs are actually working and helping the business. We've broken down metrics into categories like usability, how easy is it for people to use? Engagement, are they spending time with the product? Conversion, are they taking the actions we want them to take? And finally, satisfaction, how happy are they? Now, KPI are specific goals based on those metrics. They're really focused outcomes, like increasing our net promoter score or reducing the amount of time it takes people to complete a task. Thinking about these metrics and setting some clear KPI will help us track progress and make data-driven design decisions. Okay, so when we're thinking about product design, it's super important to really understand how people actually use our products. That's where CX mapping comes in. Think of it like creating a visual roadmap of the customer's entire experience, from realizing they have a need for something all the way through to using and enjoying or maybe struggling with your product. It breaks down the journey into stages, identifies specific interactions people have at each step, and even looks at how they're feeling throughout the process. We want to spot those frustrating moments, what we call pain points, so we can design a much smoother and more enjoyable experience for our users. Okay, let's talk about how product designers really understand their users. We're going to dive into touchpoint analysis and service design. Basically, it's all about figuring out every way a customer interacts with your brand, from visiting your website to contacting support. Think of these as touchpoints. We use journey maps to visually break down the experience into stages like awareness, consideration, purchase, and so on. Analyzing these touchpoints helps us identify where things are going wrong or where we can really shine. And then, that knowledge feeds directly into service design, which is about building a truly seamless and positive experience across all those interactions, not just focusing solely on the product itself. It's like asking, where are people getting frustrated? How can we make things more enjoyable? It's all about creating a consistent and delightful brand experience. Okay, let's talk about privacy and ethics in product design. As designers, we have a huge impact on how people's data is handled. It starts with asking ourselves, do we really need all the information we're requesting? Data minimization means collecting only what's absolutely necessary. Then, transparency is key. Be honest with users about your data practices and always get their consent. Security isn't just a tech thing. It's a design responsibility. You have to build in protections against breaches. Finally, think about accountability. How will you handle issues if something does go wrong? Okay, let's talk about pitching your designs. A great design pitch isn't just about showing off a beautiful screen. It's really about convincing the team that your idea is going to make a difference. First, you need to deeply understand the problem you're solving. What are the user's needs and how does this align with business goals? Then, brainstorm lots of solutions. Don't be afraid to sketch out some rough ideas. Next, craft a compelling story around your solution, highlighting its impact and demonstrating why it's valuable. And finally, make sure you support your pitch with visual sketches or simple prototypes can really bring your ideas to life. A good pitch generally starts with stating the problem, then explaining your design solution, and finishing with how that solution will create value. Okay, let's talk about stakeholder communication. It's absolutely crucial in product design. Think of all the different people involved: executives, users themselves, marketing, sales. They each have a unique viewpoint, and keeping everyone on the same page is vital. We want to avoid misunderstandings that lead to scope creep or products that just don't connect with our target audience. To do this, we need regular updates and really clear visuals to explain what's happening. But beyond just informing people, workshops are a fantastic way to get truly collaborative insights. They're not just about generating ideas, they're about building shared understanding, so let's look at how to run them effectively. Okay, let's talk about branding. When we're designing products, it's super important to think beyond just the features themselves. We need to build a strong brand identity, essentially defining how your product looks and feels . This goes way beyond a logo. It's all about communicating your product's personality and values. It starts with understanding where your product fits in the market and what makes it special. Then, you'll work on things like designing a memorable logo, choosing a color palette that feels right, picking fonts that are clear and consistent, and even deciding on an overall style for images and illustrations. A cohesive visual identity builds recognition and helps users trust your product. Okay, let's talk about how we map out our product plans. A good roadmap isn't just a list of features, it's the story of where you're going as a product. We start by defining the overall vision. What are the key milestones and themes for the next 6 to 12 months? Then, it's time to get strategic with prioritization. There are several frameworks you can use, like RICE scoring, which considers reach, impact, confidence, and effort. Or MOAS code W: must have, should have, could have, won't have. The key is to involve your whole team in this process, gathering input from everyone who's involved to ensure we're all on the same page. Okay, let's dive into MVP definition and rapid prototyping, crucial steps for any product designer. An MVP, or minimum viable product, is basically the smallest version of your product that you can actually release to users, just enough to test your core assumptions. It's about minimizing wasted effort by focusing on what really matters. Why do we need an MVP? Well, it drastically reduces development time and cost while simultaneously letting you validate those key ideas early on and gather valuable user feedback, which is gold. Then there's rapid prototyping. This is all about creating and testing different versions of your product *fast*. We're talking sketches, low-fidelity wireframes, or even interactive prototypes. Tools like Figma and Balsamiq can be huge help here. The key takeaway: don't get bogged down in making something perfect, focus on learning what works. Okay, so let's talk about getting more users hooked on your product, specifically through gamification. It's not just slapping points onto everything, it's really about understanding why people use your product in the first place, and then designing experiences that tap into those motivations. We'll look at a few key strategies, showing clear progress bars, creating engaging challenges and quests to get them exploring, and offering rewards beyond simple points. Think exclusive content or early access. Leaderboards can be tricky. Sometimes they're great motivators for some users but really demotivate others, so it's important to consider your audience. Ultimately, successful gamification is about aligning with your product's purpose and always testing what works best through data. Okay, let's talk about expanding your product's impact globally. We're diving into internationalization and localization, often shortened to EIT and L10. Think of internationalization as building a flexible foundation. It's about designing your product ready for different languages and cultures. Localization is the actual act of adapting that design, like translating text, adjusting dates, and making sure everything makes sense in a specific region. Some things to keep in mind include handling right-to-left languages like Arabic or Hebrew, which require flipping your layouts, and absolutely ensuring you're using correct date and time formats for each locale. Don't forget about currency symbols and supporting the wide range of characters that exist around the world through Unicode. As product designers, we have a huge role in making sure our designs are prepared to handle all these variations. Okay, so let's get real about building products that work for everyone . We naturally tend to think about how the ideal user will interact with our designs, but what happens when things don't go according to plan? That's where edge cases come in, those unexpected situations or unusual inputs that can throw a wrench into the works. Think of it like this: someone types an incredibly long string into a text field, or your connection drops out mid-process. We need to design for failure. And then there's accessibility. This is about ensuring our products are usable by people with disabilities, and we follow guidelines called WCAG, which stand for perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. Key things to keep in mind include making sure there's enough contrast between text and background, that everything can be navigated using the keyboard, providing alternative text for images, and building our websites using semantic HTML, basically structuring things logically so assistive technologies can understand them. Okay, so let's talk about how API and platforms can actually shape what we design. It's super important to be aware of these limitations upfront. They aren't always roadblocks, but ignoring them can lead to frustrating user experiences down the line. Think about it. API have limits on things like requests, and different platforms have their own rules for how things should look and feel. We need to do some early research into those constraints, build prototypes to test what's possible, and often create layers of abstraction so our users don't have to deal with the messy details. Let's talk about material design and the human interface guidelines. They are absolutely vital for any product designer. Essentially, material design is Google's visual language. It's all about creating a sense of depth and interaction through animations and subtle changes. They provide a huge library of pre-built components, which saves you time and ensures consistency across your apps and websites. Now, the human interface guidelines are the rules that govern how we use those components. They focus on making things easy to understand and use for everyone, including people with disabilities. Think about clarity, accessibility, and just generally ensuring a smooth and intuitive experience for your users. Okay, let's talk about keeping your design files organized. It's a surprisingly important skill. Version control and file management are key to making sure you don't lose work, collaborate smoothly with others, and have a clear record of all the decisions made during your design process. We want to avoid accidental overwrites, right? And when multiple designers are working on the same project, a good system is absolutely essential. Think of it as creating a structured map of your designs, a place for everything and everything in its place. The recommended structure is usually centered around folders like assets, where you store images and icons, UI components if you're building reusable elements, and then project specific folders for each sprint, keeping everything neatly contained. Okay, so let's talk about keeping your skills sharp as a product designer. It's really all about continuous learning. It's not enough to just know the tools you use today. You need to be constantly looking for new ways to improve and adapt. Why? Because design is always changing. You want to boost your skill set, spark fresh ideas, and ultimately advance in your career. To do that, we need to actively monitor what's happening in the world of design. There are lots of great resources out there, industry blogs, communities like Dribbble and Behance, even trend reports from big companies. And don't forget about social listening, paying attention to what people are saying about their experiences with products and services. Okay, so when it comes to building amazing product design portfolios, case studies are huge asterisk. They really show off your skills and how you approach problems. First, make sure you completely understand what the client is looking for. Dig deep into the brief. Then figure out exactly what you did on the project and map out your process step by step. Don't just say, I designed this. Explain how you got there using the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. And remember, visuals are everything. Really show off your work with clear mock-ups and prototypes to tell a compelling story. Okay, let's talk about telling stories in product design. It's way more than just listing features. It's really understanding your users and showing them why a product is valuable to them. You need to start by getting into their shoes and deeply understanding what they're struggling with. Then clearly define the problem you're solving, not just describe the product itself. Next, build a narrative around how your design actually addresses that pain point, using scenarios or user flows to make it real. Finally, don't forget to highlight the positive impact. What benefits does the user get? And always use visuals like sketches or prototypes to bring your story to life and make it memorable. Okay, so let's talk about what makes a truly great product designer. It's not just about making pretty things. While design skills are important, strong soft skills are absolutely crucial. We're going to focus on 3 key areas today: communication, empathy, and collaboration. First up is communication. Designers need to be able to clearly explain their ideas to everyone involved, from engineers building the product to stakeholders deciding on the strategy. Then you've got empathy, really understanding your users' needs and feelings. That means doing user research, getting out there and talking to people. Finally, collaboration. Product design is rarely a solo effort. You'll be working closely with teams across the company, so being able to work well together is key. Okay, let's talk about how product designers work with teams when everyone's scattered across different locations and departments. It's really important to build strong connections even if you don't see your colleagues every day. The key is clear communication. That means over-communicating. Use tools like Slack and Figma to share your ideas and get feedback. It's also crucial to make sure everyone understands the overall goals and what we're trying to achieve, so defining terms clearly and being explicit about your thinking process can help a lot. And don't forget to actively listen to everyone's perspectives. Engineers might have technical limitations, marketing might want to emphasize certain features, and sales will know what customers are asking for. Regular check-ins, even short ones, can really strengthen those relationships and prevent problems from escalating. Okay, let's talk about creating mood boards and concept presentations. These are your secret weapons as a product designer. Mood boards are all about capturing the feel of your design. Think of them as a visual mood board to gather images, colors, fonts, textures, anything that sets the tone you're going for. It's not just pretty pictures, it's about building a vibe. Then concept presentations take things a step further. They combine visuals like sketches and wireframes with your mood board to tell a story about how your design works and why you made those choices. And most importantly, get feedback early, and often your mood boards and concepts are a great way to collaborate. Okay, let's talk about a powerful toolset for product designers: feature flags and experiment design. Essentially, feature flags are like on/off switches for your features. They allow you to deploy code changes without immediately showing them to everyone. A/B testing, or experiment design, is the process of comparing different versions of a feature to see which performs better. Feature flags help with gradual rollouts and targeted releases, while A/B tests are all about using data to make informed decisions. We'll want to clearly define our goals for any test. What exactly do we want to achieve? Then, pick the right metrics to track success, segment users into groups, and run the experiment long enough to gather sufficient data. It's a really effective way to build better products based on user behavior. Okay, let's talk about how product designers work together. Collaboration is huge asterisk in this field. We're going to cover some essential tools that help teams brainstorm, plan, and iterate faster than ever before. Miro is fantastic for visual collaboration. Think of it as a digital whiteboard where you can map out user flows, mood boards, and anything else your team needs. FigJam from Figma really shines when it comes to workshops and remote brainstorming. And Lucidchart, that's your go-to for creating diagrams like process maps and wireframes. Don't feel like you have to use just one. Experimenting with a combination can be super effective. Okay, let's talk about designing for multi-tenancy. It's basically like having multiple separate customers all living in the same building. They share resources but need to be kept apart. The key is tenant isolation, making sure each customer's data and information stay private from others. You also need to think about how much customization a tenant might want, whether it's branding or specific features, and make sure your product can scale as the number of tenants grows without slowing down. Okay, let's talk about some specific challenges when designing SaaS products that live in the cloud. It's not just about making things look pretty. You have to consider how users will experience your product under all kinds of conditions. Scalability and performance are huge. Think about what happens when a lot of people are using your app at once, or if someone's connection is slow. And because these products rely on the internet, you absolutely have to design for situations where connectivity isn't always reliable. That means building in offline capabilities whenever possible. Beyond that, data privacy and security are incredibly important, so transparency about how you handle user information is a must. Finally, managing subscription models can be tricky. It's all about making the pricing and usage clear and easy to understand for your users. Okay, let's talk about something that often gets overlooked in product design: technical debt. Technical debt is basically the consequence of taking shortcuts during development to ship faster. It's like borrowing money. You get immediate benefits, but you have to pay it back with the interest later. For designers, this means dealing with code bases that aren't always easy to work with, forcing us to make compromises and potentially leading to less than ideal user experiences. When there's a lot of technical debt, adapting to new ideas or responding to user feedback becomes much more challenging, and it all eats into the time we have for actually designing great products. Okay, let's talk about how the business model fits into your product design work. It's not just about making something beautiful, it's about ensuring that thing has a sustainable way to exist and provide value. We've got a few key models to consider. Freemium, where you offer a basic version for free, hoping people will upgrade for more features. Then there's subscription, which is all about recurring payments for ongoing access. B2B means selling to other businesses, often requiring deeper integrations and customized approaches. And finally, B2C, that's the classic business-to-consumer model, where you're selling directly to individuals. Thinking through these models early on will dramatically influence your design decisions. Okay, so let's talk about product market fit. It's a big deal for any product designer. It's basically when you've got a product that people genuinely need and will pay for. We want to make sure we're actually solving a real problem for our customers, not just building something cool. We need to ask ourselves some key questions. Are we truly addressing a significant pain point? Is what we offer better than anything else out there? And crucially, can people find us and actually use the product? Don't get caught up in numbers like website visits. Focus on things that really tell you if your users are happy and sticking around. Metrics like Net Promoter Score or customer lifetime value will give you a much clearer picture of whether you're headed in the right direction. Okay, let's talk about making sure your product doesn't just do well today, but keeps doing well tomorrow. Scalability and future-proofing are key here. It's all about building a system that can grow with you. We want to think in terms of modular design, breaking down features so they're like Lego bricks, easy to swap out or add to without messing up everything else. An API-first approach means focusing on the underlying infrastructure, making it easier to connect your product to other services and adapt as new technologies emerge. Don't forget about data. Track how users are interacting with your product so you can make informed decisions about what to build next. And crucially, think about accessibility. Designing for everyone ensures a wider audience and makes your product more resilient in the long run. Finally, good documentation is your best friend. Keep records of why you made certain design choices. It's invaluable when new people come on board. Okay, let's talk about product design documentation. It's a really important part of the process that often gets overlooked. Think of it as your team's shared memory for why you made certain design choices. We cover key elements like discovery documents to capture initial research, detailed design systems to ensure consistency across the entire product, and user flows to map out how users will interact with everything. Plus, we'll also touch on wireframes, prototypes, and specific specs for developers. It's all about having a clear record of the why, what, and how behind your design. Okay, let's talk about how product designers really grow through mentorship and leading their teams. It's not just about making pretty things, it's about helping others develop their skills and building a strong team that can truly bring an idea to life. Mentoring is all about guiding, offering support where needed, and celebrating successes along the way. And when it comes to leadership, you need to set a clear vision for your team, promote open communication, and champion the use of a design system so everyone's on the same page. Okay, let's talk about market research reports. They're seriously helpful for product designers. Think of them as a roadmap to understanding your users and the market you're entering. A good report will clearly define who your target audience is, what problems they have, and how other products are tackling those issues. It also highlights key trends and gives you an overview of the competitive landscape. Most importantly, always check how the data was collected. That's crucial for understanding its reliability. Don't just read the summary, really dig into the details to find insights that can inform your design decisions. Got any questions about this? Okay, so let's talk about what makes a product truly successful. It's not just what it does, but why someone should choose it over the competition. That's where value proposition comes in. It's all about clearly explaining the benefits you offer to your customers, really focusing on how you solve their problems or meet their needs. Think of it like answering, why should I buy this? Now, let's move on to differentiation. What sets your product apart? It's about creating a unique position in the market, and that can be through innovative features, building a strong brand identity around how customers feel when they use your product, or simply crafting an amazing user experience. Okay, so after your initial product launch, it's crucial to listen closely to what people think. This slide focuses on how we prepare for soft launches and beta testing. We spend about 30 to 60 days really digging into the feedback from internal teams and our early beta users, spotting usability problems, those annoying bugs, and anything that wasn't quite right. We prioritize fixing the most impactful issues first and meticulously document everything so we can learn for the future. Then, we do another round of testing with a slightly larger group, often targeting specific user groups to get really focused feedback. We'll monitor key metrics like how easily people complete tasks and track where they're getting stuck. Finally, we make sure our documentation is clear, training materials are ready, and have support in place. Plus, it's always good to have a plan B just in case things don't go as planned. Let's talk about something really important for product designers: user retention. It's not enough to build a great product, you need people to keep using it. High churn, or users leaving, can be devastating for growth. As designers, we have a huge opportunity to influence this by thinking carefully about the entire user experience. We need to focus on things like making onboarding super simple and intuitive, minimizing any friction in key workflows, and consistently showing our users why they should keep coming back. And don't forget, getting feedback from your users is absolutely vital for continuous improvement. Think of design as more than just making things look pretty. It's about actually solving problems and creating a really positive journey for the user. Okay, let's talk about the tools and how designers are working together now. Figma is the go-to for most teams. It's all about collaboration. But there are other great options like Adobe XD and Sketch too. As design evolves, we're seeing a big shift towards creating reusable components through design systems, which keeps everything looking polished and consistent. And AI is starting to play a role, helping with quick prototypes. Plus, teams are working remotely more than ever before, so good version control and seamless collaboration tools are essential. Thank you for watching.